What's up, everybody? This is Talkative Carl, back again for another discussion video. Sorry, my phone was updating. This is like a bit of like a. I wasn't even planning on doing a discussion video today, but it's like, man, the Oscars. Wow. Okay. Now I haven't watched any of the award shows. No BET, no Oscars, no Emmys, no Grammys, no MTV, none of that. I don't watch any of that stuff. I don't think it's entertaining to me personally. I usually catch the highlights of like who won what, when, where, whatever. Uh, the day after. And of course, I always watch like certain podcasts or reviewers to give me like the highlights of like certain moments, so that way like I can be abreast to what's been happening. But lo and behold, last night, I don't know what time last night, relatively late, where because like I said, I don't know when like the Oscars started, but at some point last night, I'm seeing my Twitter feeds blowing up like, oh my god, I can't believe what happened between Chris Rock and Will Smith. I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, what did they do? Like, and then I'm seeing like videos of Will Smith smacking Chris Rock. And I'm like everybody else, I thought this must be like a SNL skit bullshit kind of thing. This was supposed to be funny. Like, I don't even know the context of the situation. Then as more and more came in, and like, oh, this shit was real. Will Smith actually got up and smacked Chris Rock. Kudos to Chris Rock, by the way, from just taking that like a champ. Like, holy crap, he's a skinny dude, but like he took that like a pro. But apparently, because let me, in case you are not aware, I don't see how you're not, but in case you are not aware, Chris Rock was presenting, not hosting, for like, the best, documentary that Questlove was involved in. And he, was supposed to be, like, because a lot of stuff is like pre-scripted, whatever like that. But he was like, every once in a while, these comedians go like, off script because they're professionals. They know how to do this stuff. They've been doing it for years. And Will and Jada Pinkett Smith was sitting, relatively up front. Chris, made a joke about like, Jada going to be in the next G.I. Jane kind of thing. It was a poor joke. It wasn't even that funny. Like I saw the scene like a couple of times, so like the joke didn't really land. It's like, not his best work. And Chris Rock is one of the funniest people. He's right up there with like Dave Chappelle and Robin Williams. They're at like, that they're upper echelon of comedians. Like with like Eddie Murphy and stuff like that, and Wanda Sykes, and it's like, Tina Fey and like Amy Schumer. Like they're like upper echelon of comedians that can take a serious thing and make it funny. Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock especially can make almost anything funny. And it's like, but even like, the best football players can make every touchdown. Not every great baseball player can make every home run. They're going to have a bad night. He didn't necessarily have a bad night. He's going to have at least, out of like 99% of hits with their jokes, there's always that 1% that don't land. That was his 1%, which is unfortunate. But the joke was about like, because Jada Pinkett Smith has like a shaped head, because which I did not know this. I don't watch the Red Table Talk, so it wasn't in my purview. But apparently, she suffers from alopecia, uh with people lose their hair, and you know, and it's terrible. It's a terrible thing. It's like, not, many people are abreast to that. Uh, or at least I should say aware. I know why I'm trying to use new words. But it's not like, it's not on the same, like, level as, like, of notoriety, like cancer or Asperger's or something like that. But the camera pans over, and take note that Will at first was laughing along with everybody else. Now, the joke didn't land, but I guess it's Chris Rock. You just automatically, because it's like muscle memory at this point. You watch Chris Rock so long over the years, you just instinctually going to laugh or whatever he says, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be funny. But then the camera pans over to Jada for a brief moment, and you can see, she wasn't feeling it. And apparently, like, these guys had history, and I completely forgot about 2016 during the year of Oscar So White situation, and like, a lot of people of color, or at least a lot of people in general, was boycotting the Oscars that year in 2016 because the lack of diversity or recognition of people of color's work in cinema. And when Chris Rock was hosting the Oscars that day, and he made a joke at Jada's expense, unfortunately, that Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. And it was funny. That was, like, just to be frank, that was funny. I didn't see that, but I caught the highlights of it, the next day, and I was like, oh, that was pretty damn funny. She didn't take that well, obviously, but because, like, like the entanglement last year, which is still pretty damn funny to me, and like, crying Will Smith and all that stuff. Well, they put their business on Front Street more so than this should be necessary. But to be fair, they open themselves up to these kind of things, because now you give people material, or like all these memes and comedians making jokes and all this other stuff. You open yourself up to that kind of thing, and you wanted that. Just like the Kardashians, they open themselves up, their business, for all the world to see, so you don't think like anybody's gonna crack a joke. Now, again, there are certain lines you can't cross, and you cannot in every action, there's always an equal and opposite reaction. So I can't not tell you how to feel if I make a comment. Excuse me. Make a comment or a joke. And if you feel some type of way about it, that's their feelings. So Will then, like a few seconds or so after that Jada expression, Will got up, marched like a good 10 or so paces, beelines to Chris, and proceeds to slap him, and then turns around and walks back to his seat. Now, this is before anybody knows he's going to win, like, his award for, like, King Richard with the Venus and Serena Williams film. By the way, this is his first Oscar win ever. And, like, they cut the sound off at that moment for a little bit, but thanks to, like, Australia, I think Japan, they, posted the the moment without the silence, so you can hear that, like, Will, like, keep my wife's name out of your motherfucking mouth. And you see, like, a shot of Lupita Nyong'o, like, in the back, just right, like a seat or two behind Will, and she's like, "Oh my god, did this just happen?" And it was so freaking funny. But like, kudos to Chris Rock for like maintaining his professionalism and like like I just got slapped by Will Smith, and he just rolled with it and continued on with the award and so forth. And Questlove won his thing after that. It was like literally like not too long after that moment. And it's supposed to be like a shining achievement for him. Now it's a lot of stuff getting overshadowed. A lot of the awards and stuff that's supposed to be a big moment for a lot of people is getting overshadowed by the fact that Will Smith basically assaulted another person on live television in front of like a couple of dozen millions of people viewing this thing, and a portion of which is right there, and God knows how a lot of those actors and like people who've been working on the production and sets and stuff like that, who are there at the Academy Awards, and they their moments bring like even Will Smith, who finally got his award, can't really enjoy it. I think a lot of people who were expecting Will Smith to finally be his year to win an Oscar, and all that has been completely overshadowed by the fact that he did not, because he didn't like compose himself, because both of these guys are in their 50s. They're seasoned veteran actors, and both of them like Will Smith's not like a comedian like like on stage like Chris usually is, but he's been in comedic. He got comedic timing. He's been on funny shows and movies and stuff like that. He knows the game. I'm pretty sure he's been to comedy shows from time to time, and like he knows how the game works. And this is Chris Rock. There's no Joe Schmo trying out his material, on your wife, this kind of thing. My opinion. Now, they both was wrong on this. Chris was wrong because then again, he did not know about Jada's Jada's disease, but like he's definitely not aware of the whole situation. But then again, Will, and this is whole brings up a whole thing about like toxic masculinity and everything like that. But Will should have, in my mind, at least 3 things should have happened. One, if he was going up there, being a great comedic timing kind of thing, like and like a great actor as he is, what he could have done, or he's walking up there unprompted and everything like that, and like Chris thinking like, oh, because this is Will Smith, I can let him invade my space and stuff like that. If it was anybody else, they would have got tackled or something like that. I was like, oh, he's gonna like do something funny with me or whatever like that. Will should have done is turn it around and like make that joke and like just like turn around and like like flipped it on him and make Chris a butt of a joke or something like that, and turn around so it can be like 2 guys just riffing at each other kind of situation. Or what he could have done, if it was that serious, he could have just like walk up to him, whisper behind Chris's ears, like so away from the mic so nobody else can hear, and say, hey man, like my wife didn't appreciate that. Can you apologize right now? Because that wasn't cool. And she's on that. And then like, and Chris, knowing Chris Rock, we don't know personally, but you will think he's a decent enough man and, old enough and wise enough to know, okay, they're obviously not feeling that joke. So like I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, I apologize. It's cool. Like, and it's just said like, openly right there. It's like, like I apologize. Jada's, it's like all in good fun, but like, if I cross the line, please, accept my apologies, and like that'll be that. Or third option is like, wait till the cameras are off, go behind stage, talk to Chris man to man, and let him know that what he did was out of pocket. If Chris would have either doubled down on it and say, like, I'm not apologizing, blah, 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 then it could have been whatever. Because you should have at least allowed this man, to, give him that grace and opportunity to correct his mistake if your wife feel wronged. And Will did not allow that. And because of that, now he's getting he's slightly more in the wrong than Chris is. If he would have handled any one of those three things I mentioned, then the ball would have been in Chris's court. And everybody would have been on him. And I think for the most part, people are on Will's side, but it's people, usually a bit older or have a certain viewpoint on how man needs to be like a man and stand up for his woman. And it's I watched Bill Maher last week, and he talked about this ironically about Zelensky and what he's doing in Ukraine. Now, of course, there's two different scenarios and everything like that, but basically you can't pick and choose the level of masculinity a guy should have. It's you can't have a man with zero masculinity. It's got to have at least a bit in there. If he's going to have masculinity, there's going to be a bit of toxicness in there somewhere. And it's not saying what Will did was wrong in of itself, trying to defend his wife if she felt wronged. But as a grown adult, who I'm pretty sure has been in middle school like the rest of us, who have been taught, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words never hurt me, or use your words, don't go around hitting people. That's why we have laws to prevent people from just going around just hitting people, because that's wrong. That's against the law. That's assault. Luckily, Chris took it in stride and, became a big person. It's no, I'm not pressing charges, because LAPD contacted him about that kind of situation after the whole, altercation. And he's no, I do not want to press any charges, woo. Because Chris would have been well within his right to do so. I don't think, I think some people might thought it would be a sucker move if he did that. But then again, it's he is in his right. Because it was assault, and we all saw it. We all are witnesses to an assault. And it's just, I slightly feel more bad for Chris than I do for Will. Now, don't get me wrong. I still make my fair share of jokes all day today. If you follow me on Twitter, and links in the description, I've been posting memes and GIFs and stuff like that. And, they both gonna get these jokes. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I do feel a little bit more 51% more bad for Chris than I do for Will, because it's only a couple of degrees, because Chris Rock did say something. Well, he didn't intentionally want to hurt her feelings. It was a joke. If you go to a comedy show, and that's why I got under my skin with the whole situation with Dave Chappelle and in the the trans community and everything like that. When they trying to come at his head, and it's and don't get me wrong, trans community's been through some shit and they deserve the respect everybody else. If you go to a comedy show, and I've been to a comedy show before, and my mind's eye, my first instinct when I go to a comedy show is he's going to be making fun of somebody. It depends on where you're seated and who they're looking at. If you're dressed in a certain way, or you're looking at a certain way, if they catch you, they going to probably point that out. More than likely. I just got to keep that in my mind. And just if I get singled out or something like that, luckily I never did. But if I get singled out, I'm going to have to take it. And laugh along with it, because more than likely it's going to be funny, but it's just, Would I be like maybe slightly embarrassed? Sure, yeah, that probably would be the case. But I won't just get up, go to the stage, and slap whomever comedian, Kevin Hart or whomever, because he says something that struck me very personally. It's like that. It's just like you just don't do that. And unless there was like a verbal threat directly, or an actual physical touch or spit or something like that, then you have every right to come at them with equal force. But until then, excuse me, um, until then, you don't lay hands on anybody. And it's just like, because here's another thing, and this is speaking from in terms of a black person, and not everybody feels this way. I mean, like, we're all not a monolith, of course, but it's just that every black person at some point or another, and this is all true in our community, at some point or another, we have been taught from since we were able to walk and talk, that when you step out of this house, we're talking with your grandparents or your parents, or aunt or uncle, whatever, anybody who's older than you in your family is taking you out somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's at the corner store or Six Flags. If you step out this house, you're going to have to make sure you behave properly, because you're not going to be embarrassing me. And it's not even just an embarrassment on to the families, but like, it's the whole community. Because white people don't have that worry. They can show their ass out any day of the week if they so choose to. They're Karens, but they can do that. We cannot, just go around just doing that. And I get it. Some people say like if it was me, I wouldn't go. Like, I don't care if it's the Oscars. It's not the Oscars. It's not even just about the white people. It's just the optics. It wasn't too long ago we have like Black Panther, to where we show black people in our absolute finest and best, to show us as like regal, powerful, intellectuals, creatives, upstanding pillars of the community that shaped the foundation of the United States because of slavery mostly, but even long after that, we became inventors, scientists, artists, writers, musicians, actors, we explorers, engineers, and it's like, and Will effectively just show his ass, to be frank. And it's like, in my mind, it's like, Lord knows what, because I don't know how many people of color that's up in the upper echelon of, handling the Oscars. But in my mind's eye, there's going to be at least a few of those white people in that ballroom thinking like, maybe in their minds, maybe not saying it out loud, but in their minds, like, there's no way we're letting these black people, like, it's like, we tried it, and it's like, look how it turns out. You got like two people like, swinging at each other. Now it's like, that's how I feel, because not that we always gotta be on, or we always gotta like, hold in our feelings or anything like that, but we gotta express it in a healthy way or behave in a certain manner, unless it's pushed us to a manner that is not professional. I mean, that's how I see it. That's how I was raised. Because when I step up my house, I'm not going around just swinging on people because they might say something I do not like. People are going to always say something or joke about something that you might not necessarily like. Or even worse, might take it personal. Now, unless, a white person call me the N-word, then, like, fist gonna fly. But aside from that, I'm not. He can say what he wants unless he put his hands on me like I want to keep it moving. But it's just like Will actually had to before he got his little award and did his little inauthentic speech, to be honest with you, because like he's spouting about like love and like protecting one's family and stuff. Like, dude, you lost any kind of credibility right now. Nobody's gonna take what you're saying that seriously after you preaching about love and you just smacked a man like a few minutes ago. And like before that, Tyler Perry and Denzel Washington, and I think Bradley Cooper and like Will's publicist, I think, all at the trying to calm him down. And it's like, man, and that's even worse in my opinion. The fact that you're a seasoned actor, just like a lot of these, like just like these guys, and like what you just did, it affects them too, where you know it or not, because you put shame on not just your family, even though it seems like everybody in Will's family, Jaden seemed like he was co-signing kind of thing with like a tweet or something like that. But it's like you're embarrassing like you're Lupita Nyong'o, you're embarrassing Denzel, Tyler Perry, like a lot of these brilliant people who fought hard to get to where they are and blaze a trail for you to get to where you are. And like people who are relatively new in the game got to where they are because of you, and because of what you did. You are effectively like, it's like a like a ripple effect now. It may not be like all the way. It's not that it's not like he pretty much like got into a full on fist fight or anything like that. But it still looks poorly on a lot of us. Some people might not care, but it's just the way I perceived it. Despite my jokes, it's like, what's going to be like next Oscars? And everybody's going to expect another thing. It's like, is Will or Jada ever going to be allowed to, come to the Oscars, let alone host it? He wasn't hosting, but, it's no way they're going to let, like, Will and Jada come back, because, like, Lord knows if, like, somebody dares make a crack about anything about the Smiths, even though they put their business out on Front Street for the world to see, Lord knows, like, oh my God, Will Smith might come up and smack me, or they got to keep their eyes on Will Smith from the foreseeable future now, because Lord knows what he might do if somebody dares to talk about Jada's outfit that year. Or it's like, if she feels any type of way, it's just like I mentioned about like Dave Chappelle. It's like, it's a comedy show. You gotta expect people to poke fun at people. Not everybody's gonna like the joke, but you're not gonna go up if like, just like with the whole situation with like Kanye West and Trevor Noah. Kanye West probably did not like what Trevor Noah had to say about them, despite how true it is. But if he's up there, cracking jokes about like, as I say, he's cracking jokes about Kim Kardashian, even though Kim's not there. Obviously, he's not there. But if he was there, but Kim's not there, and he's still obviously feeling some type of way about her, even still. But he getting up and smacking Trevor Noah across the face would not fly either. That would be just as wrong. It's just like, yeah, I know like some like celebrities are pretty doggone sensitive, but it's just like, you're at like a very, not only formal event, but surrounded by a lot of prestigious people. I mean, I know like some people just don't care about that, but it's just like, it's the optics of it. I mean, this is not no janky ass shit. You're not like a graduation ceremony here. You're not like at some kind of ballpark where like people pass out trophies, you get in like a fight with one of the other kids' dads or anything like that. This is like a big deal for a lot of people here, and all their moments, including Will, has been outshined by because Will, uh, want to defend his wife's honor, which is usually on 9 times out of 10 is admirable. Nobody's knocking that part. What they're knocking is just like how he handled it. And that's what it's like. I just want to say, I really want to get that off my chest all day today. I've been eager to get home from work just to talk about this because that was wild to me. And uh, man, it's like I do feel bad for Chris slightly more because of it. Because Will could just like not let it go, but at the very least he can do is just go. As the cameras are off and they're in the green room or behind. After like maybe not after the war is over. I mean it'd be too long, but like right after the commercial goes and like you get up your seat, you go to Chris and let him know, hey, like my wife didn't appreciate that. Can you go apologize? Come over and apologize to her because that was kind of foul. And I'm pretty sure Chris Rock would have been more than obliged to profess his apologies. And I'm curious to know what you guys thought. Was Will justified? Was he wrong? Or both wrong? And like how would they, you think they should have handled it kind of situation? Because that was because that was slightly out of pocket on Will's part. But yeah, I mean, I never thought I would be doing any kind of discussion video about the Oscars at all. I don't really watch the Oscars. I catch highlights, and to be honest, personally, I think Spider-Man No Way Home should have won Best Picture because despite like how people feel about Coda or Power of the Dog and that kind of thing, because apparently it's supposed to be good. I didn't watch it, but in my opinion, if you talking about like Best Picture, you would think it's Best Picture because everybody in their mind went to go see it. Like I mean, a good portion of people actually went to go see Coda. I don't think like depending on like who you speak to, like how many people actually went to see Parasite. I haven't watched Parasite. I understand like everybody think it's good, and I'm pretty sure it is. There's been times when I, like take for example the movie Split with James McAvoy. At first, I didn't because we're still on that mindset like M. Night Shyamalan's bad streak of movies at that time, and like I didn't believe that like Split was going to be any good until like word got around, and I eventually went around to see it. It's one of my favorite films. I love the hell out of Split, so it does tend to happen, but it's just like Power of Dog, Coda is like I'm not going to go out my way to go see it. I'm just not, and like Spider-Man No Way Home, like not only it felt like it saved the theater industry, but it grossed. It's like in the top 5 best Marvel movies of all time, probably in the top 3 at this point in time, more than likely. And it's like that did gangbusters on a whole lot of levels. And you can definitely check out my spoiler review of the film to get my thoughts on that, but you'll know why. But it's just like, kudos to everybody else who got their awards and, because they obviously worked hard at it and so forth. But, it's a shame they got outshined by Will's shenanigans. So anyway, I will see you guys a little bit later. I'll be streaming a little bit for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands game in a little while. I'm going to get me something to eat and just unwind a bit. I just had to jump on really fast to get this off my chest and like on camera, so I can like at least get that release because like it's just been weighing on me. Like I had a lot to say, and it's a shame I had to work today because like I could have posted this earlier and like just when it really went in. But anyway, see you guys probably later this obviously we doing video game walkthroughs and stuff like that, gameplays, but like my spoiler review for season 3 of the Clone Wars series will be posted up later this weekend. Well, I also will be doing a spoiler review for Morbius. I'm going to see it Thursday, but I probably won't post any spoiler review until maybe Saturday. At the probably around the same time I'm doing like a spoiler review for uh, uh, Clone Wars season 3, as well as next weekend I will be doing a spoiler review for Sonic 2. Looking forward to that. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Take care. Be safe. And don't go slapping people. And keep your name out of Jada. Keep Jada's name out of your mouth. You don't want Will to slap you, okay? He's very sensitive about that. Peace.